"Grandpa, why are you frying eggs with a blowtorch?" I asked, peering through the thick smoke filling our dimly lit kitchen. Henry didn't respond at first. He just angled the flame to crisp the edges, flipped the eggs in the cast-iron skillet using a pocket knife, and grumbled, "Because Susan figures she owns the damn grid." That single sentence hit me like a thunderclap. This wasn't some petty neighborhood spat. This was full-blown warfare, and Henry had fired the first shot before dawn even broke. The kitchen was a shadowy mess, illuminated only by the torch's blue hiss and a couple of candles jammed into mason jars. The coffee maker sat lifeless, the toaster was a useless hunk of metal, and the ceiling fan dangled motionless like a forgotten noose. I tugged my sweatshirt closer against the chill and eyed the fridge, already losing its cool. Henry slid a plate of steaming eggs my way and jerked his head toward the back window. "Go on, see it for yourself," he said. Peering through the blinds, I spotted the neighbors' homes aglow with porch lights, sprinklers whirring, AC units humming, and someone down the block revving a lawnmower. Our place. It might as well have been off the map. We ate on the porch, steam curling from mugs of lukewarm milk. Henry stayed quiet, his mind churning like an old engine. When he finally spoke, his voice was edged like a blade. "They killed it at the junction box by the old pine. Not a blackout sabotage." I blinked. "You mean Susan?" He let out a bark of laughter. "Who else would slap me with a bogus fine for an illegal turbine when all I installed was a damn weather vane?" I fished out the HOA letter again, official stationery, stamped and signed by Susan Hargrove, president of Willow Creek Meadows Homeowners Association. It accused Henry of running unapproved off-grid gear and ignoring repeated warnings for inspections. Pure fiction. He'd never gotten a peep before. The punchline? For ongoing violations, the HOA invokes its authority to halt utility services until compliance. Services meaning power. We rattled into the HOA office that morning in Henry's battered '78 Chevy truck, a relic that coughed more than it drove. The lot was pristine asphalt, no doubt funded by the same dues that paid for their gaudy fountain out front. Inside reeked of fresh ink and citrus cleaner. Susan sat behind a desk big as a barge, her suit jacket a glaring crimson, hair yanked back so tight it pulled her face into perpetual shock. "Mr. Dawson," she cooed with a smile faker than plastic fruit. "What brings you here?" Henry didn't sit. "You yanked my electricity." She steepled her fingers. "No, we enforced protocol under Clause 7 of the Utility Oversight Bylaws which I drafted." He fired back and rammed through with bribes of muffins and fear-mongering. Her grin held. "Irrelevant. Power resumes post-inspection of your shed for hazards, maybe bootleg circuits or contraband tech. We've had tips." "From whom?" "Let's say watchful eyes abound." I glanced at the corner monitor flickering with feeds of sidewalks and lampposts. This lady had turned bake sale cash into a spy network. Henry inhaled deep. "You want to poke around my shed? For safety? Think my chickens are brewing moonshine." Susan snorted. "No drama, please. Just accountability." He leaned in. "The only thing clear here is your power grab. Mark my words, woman, you're about to learn what it's like when the tables turn." We stormed out. Back home, Henry vanished into the workshop behind the garage, rummaging through crates marked "hands off," stuffed with wires, cells, breakers, and dog-eared schematics in his blocky script. I watched from the steps, wondering what storm brewed in his head. When he emerged, he dumped a coil of thick cable, shucked his boots, and poured iced tea. Gazing at the dead fan, he murmured to the air, "All right, Susan, you want to mess with currents? Game on." That night, the house stayed black, but Henry's vibe shifted from pissed to plotting. He phoned Buddy, his old pal from the mill days, whispering about amps, grounds, and inverter loads. He yanked the cover off his tractor, polishing contacts like prepping for inspection. I asked if he aimed to juice the whole place off batteries like that '95 storm. He grinned slyly. "Nah, house can hang. But that HOA shack? It's gonna light up like the 4th. Before bed, I stared at the dark skyline from the porch. Stars twinkled, crickets chirped. Then, near the HOA building, a lone security lamp winked out. Henry noticed, sipping tea. Entry point. This wasn't mere payback, it was a manifesto against tyrants with titles, thinking they ruled unchallenged. And knowing Henry, he'd etch it in sparks, ohm by ohm. Dawn crept in foggy, shadows stretching over the dew-slick grass. Henry was already tinkering in the workshop, door ajar enough to show him pacing. I brought cold instant coffee, he grunted, on the blue bin, bent over submarine batteries scavenged from a scrapyard. Rough diagrams littered the bench, cable paths, cryptic part lists, I overload sequence phase 2, underlined hard. Buddy rolled up at 9 in his rattling van, wiry frame scowling under a mustache, retired not expired sticker fading on the bumper. Heard Susan sparked your fuse, he said, hitching his belt like scaling a pole. Time to dust off that fairground blackout setup. Henry passed gloves. Fuse is lit. I pick where it blows. They dove in, linking inverters for twin inputs, stacking batteries on pallets with beefy copper strands and tape. Grease and ozone scented the air, buzzing with edge. I pitched in holding lights, dragging cords, fetching clamps. The scheme? Hijack the HOA's feed straight to Henry's tractor rig. Not prank-level total takeover. Every socket, bulb, fancy heater would suck from farm-grade juice. If Susan played energy overlord, Henry'd serve her a lesson she'd choke on. Hurdle, entry. Buddy sketched on grimy glass. No breach needed. Vent ducked under the walk recall that access panel by the azaleas. Henry's grin was wolfish. They loaded the array in the truck, veiled under canvas, and waited for twilight. Meanwhile, Henry snaked lines through fields, threading under rails and brush like laying mines. Buddy probed meters, reciting formulas like gospel. The workshop turned bunker, every piece mission critical. The HOA couldn't resist meddling. Susan's kid, Dilana, flunked out wannabe enforcer, cruised in a golf cart with a jerry-rigged beacon, circling our fence, scribbling fake logs in a knockoff journal. He even snooped at the window. Henry's sensor tripped a sprinkler aimed at the manure heap. Dylan got hosed with cowslop spray, yelping like a branded cat, slipping in muck before fleeing backward, dragging a stake. Henry nodded grimly. Buys time. But Susan's hooked on victory. Dusk fell. Frogs croaked by the brook. We parked near the HOA, empty and shuttered with flyers on decor codes. Buddy slithered into the hatch under bushes with cable, emerging dusty but triumphant. Tied to their mane. Timer for morning kick. Henry's smile was pure resolve. Let's see her juice her tablet on tractor torque. Back home, the rig purred. Trap sprung. Henry lounged with a voltage reader like a sidearm, drumming fingers. Power's funny, he said. They think switches make him gods. But we know it's prep, not permits. Fog smothered dawn. Henry eyed the office like a sniper. Buddy nursed coffee, metering like a bomb timer. At 9, it hit. Windows flared unnaturally bright, dimmed, strobed. HVAC groaned audible across fields, blasting random gusts. Phase 1, Henry whispered. Cars arrived. Dylan first, gelled hair and toy radio, gaping at the haunt. Bored folks in SUVs, uneasy. Susan last, pristine Lexus, storming in to berate the structure. Screams erupted, soon jammed copier, yanked blinds, surges. 2 fled coughing from heat spikes. Susan paced, yelling into her phone, getting zilch. A member zapped, unplugging, yelping. Buddy chuckled. Ground bite. By noon, a tech van showed. Susan dragged him to the panel, ranting sabotage. He probed, shocked mild, frowned at feeds pointed our way. Susan spotted us, face twisting in fury, but halted mid-cross. Tech bailed, boards scattered like vermin. Susan stewed alone, lights pulsing like mockery. Comm mast next dawn's edge. Rig hummed. Henry patrolled fence with wrench and thermos. Buddy brought rods, grinning. Susan's summoning county brass hopes to bury you in codes. Henry shrugged. Let M. Power's mine. Overnight chaos. Blown bulbs, flooded beds, zapped outlets. Susan's memos demanded random audits, stapled everywhere. Neighbor Mike brought one, laughing. Guess no more buying your jam. Henry burned it. Her law shall starve. Backfire brewed. Locals rallied to Henry muffins from Linda. 10 years waiting for her takedown. HOA systems tanked. Cams dead. Sprinklers soaked her ride. Thermostat stuck muggy. Susan's conference. Yelling at chairs and birds railed. Warfare from that filth pile. Leaked tape went nuclear. Her vowing to torch Henry's garage. Outrage peaked. Chalked. Susan free zone. Kids stand mocked her. Henry got an envelope. Photo of wrecked office. Note, 1% left fuse check. He chuckled, then dismantled rig. Switching feeds. Finale time. Tractor rumbled to HOA, parked by her car. He left schematics and fuse on steps. Susan erupted threats of cops, bans. Henry unplugged last wire. Blackout. Fans died, screens blanked. She lunged, face planted in dirt. Crowd clapped, steady defiance manifest. Aftermath shifted air. County reinstated power, deeming Susan's order fraud post tape. Her mic-sparking rally flopped amid laughs. Board ousted her via door note. Sheriff Dan dropped donuts. Someone hit the right breaker. Neighborhood bloomed flags. Gnomes, no fines. Barbecue sealed it. Grills, games, signed people powered with fuse trophy. Henry shunned presidency. I'd rather wire than rule. Some crave control. He flipped it with grit. Susan's notes faded, ignored. Willow Creek reclaimed freedom raw. Contentious proof one man's stand could short-circuit tyranny.